Truth-Filled Trajectory. I'm Loomis, I'm your host, and today we're going to investigate the latest strange lights over Hawaii, a UFO seen by many people claiming it to be a huge craft the size of a palace above our heads. So we're going to take a look. I wasn't there, but we're going to compare what people said. At least we're going to, look at the videos, and then we're going to compare it to the mainstream media and see what they say and try to come up with some truth. Now here it is. What's good about this video is it's backlit by the moon, so you can kind of see in relative where the moon is and how low this thing is, and it looks like a plane coming in at first. You can see all these little blinking lights, and even one's kind of turning reddish, and it's just a lot of twinkling little lights. And from what people said, it was giant, like the size of a big palace going above your head, making no noise whatsoever. Now we'll take a look at it more zoomed in. Now it's hard to really make it out when you zoom in because the quality of the video at night looks like from somebody's phone, but you can see different little lights. Look at this other video here, and it's a lot darker. It doesn't have the backlight of the moon, but you can see that there's some lights that don't actually go on and off. Some blink and some do not. And on a normal jet, these would be indicator lights because you don't want people to miss you and crash into you. But this is definitely kind of a V shape.
People on different islands reported seeing these strange lights in the sky on Saturday night shortly after 10 o'clock. Now we're told since it was traveling east, people on the Big Island and Maui probably got a better view.
What is that, guys? What is that?
And I started videotaping, and when they got closer, that's when I started freaking out because I'm like, oh, what in the world is this? We actually didn't even know what to think. We didn't know what it was, where it came from. It just appeared. It was very quiet. It was actually very eerie feeling.
That was probably what many thought when they saw these mysterious bright lights in the night sky. But experts from the Mauna Kea Observatory...
Where have you heard trust the experts before?
Suspect.
So in all likelihood, what they saw last night was the re-entry of a rocket booster that was from a rocket that was launched in 2008. It was a Chinese rocket that was boosting up a communications satellite for Venezuela.
It's likely as the years went by, the orbit of the booster eventually decayed. Astronomers found a map of the object's flight path, which was near the Hawaiian Islands.
So we can't be 100% certain because we don't have any of the pieces of the debris. But the pattern of the lights that we saw in our time lapse combined
Notice this is not the same thing in the videos,
really
guys.
Leads us to believe that this was this Venus Stat 1 re-entering the atmosphere.
Yeah, notice how she's smiling and reading off of something. That means she's not coming from her true thoughts. Not saying she's an insider, not saying anything like that, but she really doesn't know. But she's got to read this, and maybe she's not that good on camera or whatever. But what you're looking at here is a rocket booster re-entering the atmosphere. This is what it looks like, okay? Now you see the lights falling apart. You see the debris falling apart. This is very hot, and this is very normal. And this is what it looks like when something re-enters the atmosphere. It's almost like embers and coals flashing, and it's not flashing lights or stationary lights. Look at it, it's breaking apart.
But to catch a glimpse of it means you had to be in the right place at the right time, right in the flight path. And when it hits the atmosphere, prepare for a light show.
What is that?
It starts to break apart and heats up and gets really hot. And when it gets really hot, it gets really bright and it falls apart.
And the entire object that's breaking apart over our atmosphere is traveling in the exact same orbital path. So we would expect to see all of that debris follow in a straight line.
Except that it's not a bunch of debris falling apart in a straight line.
It's like a plane.
Now take a look at this.
Oh my God.
Now if you look at the top of the screen, here's another UFO light just coming across. It's almost like it's a little scout for the ship. I don't know, just guessing. But these are some different videos, different angles of the same thing. And as you can see, this is a floating vessel. Look at all the blinking lights on it. There's a larger reddish colored light on it. Yeah, it's a floating vessel going right over things. Now, as you look in this video, I'm not sure if it's a star or it's that little tiny UFO, but if you look on the corner, the right corner of the screen, right there, what is that thing?
What?
Not quite sure. Some might mistake this for what you're seeing here, which is the Starlink satellites that have been launched up pretty recently, and they go in a straight line. When I first saw it, I thought it was a UFO, but then I did some research, and this is the Starlink satellites. As you can see, it's not the same thing.
Social scene, and it was all over social media, Ross. People posting stories about seeing strange lights in the sky this past weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely an out-of-this-world experience because these bright lights were shooting through the skies on Saturday night around 10 o'clock, and it looked like a bunch of shooting stars. Now, some people thought it was a meteor shower, maybe a drone, or maybe something unexplainable. E.T. phone home?
You guys are so funny.
Likely the re-entry of a rocket booster into the Earth's atmosphere from a launch back in 2008. Astronomers found a map of the object's flight path, which was near the Hawaiian Islands.
That brings us to our question of the morning. Did you see those strange bright lights streaking through the sky?
Again, showing you a photo that is not what we were looking at.
Leave us a comment on our KH12 Facebook page if you have a photo, post it as well, and we'll read some later this morning. But very interesting explanation for what it was, Ross.
Yeah, because I saw it all over social media, and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, was this part of the early Halloween spooktacular light show? But it made sense with what they were saying.
So let's take a look at some zoomed in photos here. The best I could do with my limited capacity. This is the little UFO that was bobbing around the larger one. Not sure what to make of it, just a big white orb. And this is an enlargement of the craft with a different backlighting. I try to play around with what I have for photo editing. It's not great, but you can see here the stationary light at the front is obviously a real light, and this is so overexposed it's almost hard to get, but you can make out the shape somewhat. And so what is it? Well, we know it's not what the media says. Maybe it's one of ours, or it's another country's. But if it was somebody else's, the X-band radar stationed in Pearl Harbor definitely would have caught it, because it can track an object from here to Washington, D.C., the size of a golf ball. It can actually see what type of cigarette you're smoking all the way from here to Norway. So if it's not one of ours, then whose is it? Another slip up on the media is they said it was traveling east when really it was traveling northwest. So nothing really matches other than what we have for the videos. And so was it extraterrestrial life? I mean, we really don't know. It could be. It could be something that cloaked radar, but we really won't know. That's why there's going to be a part 2 of this. So in part 2, I will try to include witnesses, and we'll take a look at a little bit more information that might come our way and put it all together. Like I said, we have to become the media today, because the media doesn't do investigative journalism. They're repeaters, not reporters. So if you enjoy this video, or if you have information about this video, please comment below. If you have more links to it, and you live in the Hawaiian Islands, please comment below. And if you have any types of things you want to write me about personally, it's peoplebeyondthis@gmail.com. The website is chanitdownradio.com. Don't forget to listen to Chan It Down Radio, which is my podcast, and you will find much more interesting information all over the place. Until then, stay tuned for the next truth-filled trajectory.